What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Sunday Reset here on Forward Progress, presented by Fanduel. I'm Rob Pizzola. By now, we're halfway through the season. You guys know the drill. We're going to zoom out on today, separate signal from noise. We'll call out some surprises, what we nailed, what we missed, key coaching calls, injuries, everything that shaped this week in the NFL. Then, of course, we'll flip it forward in the latter half of the show. We'll run through all those Week 9 openers, our thoughts on every game. We'll talk through where we expect the market to go, any injuries you got to look out for, and all that jazz. We do this right after Sunday Night Football so that you have a sharp, digestible reset waiting for you on Monday morning. If you're watching live here on Sunday night, hit that like button on YouTube so more people find this. Sub to Forward Progress. Turn on notifications as well. If you're listening after the fact to a replay of this, if you like what you hear, please rate and review 5 stars. Let's get into it. See a lot of people in the chat that are familiar faces, some new ones as well. Glad you're all here. As we run through these games today, use that chat. We like to utilize you guys as part of the show, bring you in on the action. And joining me tonight, back from his 1-week hiatus, is Clive Bixby. Clive, how's it going?
Good, man. Happy to be back. Always hate missing a week.
It's tough. I got one of those coming up, which I'll announce to all the nails at some point, where I'm just not going to be around for a large part of an NFL Sunday. It sucks, man. Just like not having that week. And I mean, if there was ever a week to miss though, Clive, this would have been the one because, man, there was some non-competitive football games today.
Yeah, the early slate was not great at all. And the only thing that was any kind of saving grace was the Jets Bengals, 2 teams that I couldn't care less about, but it was a fun watch down at the end of the game. You know, they made an analytics play, and
Oh, man.
I didn't expect that from Aaron Glenn. And you know, you don't hear about it when it works out. Not to steal somebody else's thunder on Twitter, but it's the truth. You really never hear when these things work out. It's only like, oh, this is so stupid. Why didn't you just take the point and, you know, play for overtime and all that bullshit?
I will say, listening to that game in real time, I don't remember who was on commentary. Might have been Kevin Harlan. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe with Jonathan Vilma. I can't remember who was doing that game. But listening to them try to explain why the Jets were going for 2 in that moment was truly hysterical. They didn't have a clue. I mean, there's such a large gap between a lot of these analysts nowadays. Greg Olsen being the S tier, in my opinion, where he knows what's going on in every situation. But that one was funny to hear. And it wasn't Vilma. If anyone knows who it was that was there, I was laughing for a good 5 minutes in that game. But a lot of people weren't laughing, Clive, because there was some survivor chaos today too. Bengals being one team a lot of people lost on, and then Kirk Cousins and the Falcons, another one that was, just like never in doubt that they were going to lose.
Yeah, some people out there had some teasers tied to the Falcons too. I was loving that mess, and my survivors stayed alive. So it was a good week for that too. Was able to save Indy for this week.
Yeah, Adam Archuleta was on the call there. That's who it was. Yeah, sorry. Sometimes when I'm watching Red Zone during the day and they're cutting it back and forth, I forget who was calling each game. Just on a personal level for me, Clive, a big time roller coaster of a day that ended up really well, but started off horrendously. I have still yet to have that week. You know, everyone has that week in NFL season where just nothing breaks their way. I thought it was going to be that in the early slate today. I had 3 big plays on sides. They were the Panthers getting rolled. They were the Giants getting rolled, although a little bit unlucky. I'll talk about that later. And it was the Jets who were also getting rolled, but then somehow came back towards the end of the game and ended up winning it. That seemed to be like the turning point for me because the late window, everything went well, especially on totals. Tennessee Indy over was a big one. Dallas Denver over was a big one. Sunday Night Football, I just cashed the double, which I rarely like to do, but Green Bay and the over. So ended this day fantastic, but was a horrible start. Curious how you fared today.
Down a little bit. It was a low volume week for me though, like with all the other stuff that I had going on, but now I'm kind of back for the rest of the year where I'll just be home and not traveling as much. I got murdered again with our Survivor Millions entry. Like no matter what I do, it doesn't matter how much CLV I get. It doesn't matter what happens. Like that just does not break right for me ever.
in fairness, so much of the pool was on Bears at a stale number anyways. So, that's where it's at. Ian McNeil, thank you very much for the donation. Appreciate the kind words as well. Legitimately the best gambling show on the web. You said it, not me. I like what we do here. I enjoy doing this show, but really it's the participation we get out of all you guys in the chat as well over the course of the show. That is fantastic. And honestly, really makes it easy to do this show. Let's start with that stale number, Chicago, Baltimore, because I think we did a really good job with the coverage of this game on the network this week. And it all started with G-Stack last Sunday filling in for you, where it's like, let's pump the brakes on Lamar starting. The way that it played out over the course of the week was crazy in terms of like all the chaos, all the speculation. But at the end of the day, Baltimore handles business at home. Snoop Huntley put together one of the cleaner games of his career, 0.26 EPA per play, 70% completions. He spread it around. Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews. The Ravens built a lot of drives off early down passing. And it really felt like the Bears had their opportunity early in the game, Clive. A couple drives that they settled for field goals. And then after that, the Ravens were just more efficient, more consistent. And the final score felt right. And now I'm kind of stuck with both of these teams again of how much are we upgrading the Ravens once Lamar is back? And also where do the Bears fit in the league right now?
So we'll talk through the Bears and the Bengals in a little bit, like when we get to that. I'm done with Caleb Williams. Like, I'm not a quote unquote hater. In one of our earlier things this year, I had him as one of like our props that we did for the prop show of getting over 4,000 passing yards. And he still might hit that number. He's just not good. And I have not seen a single step forward in terms of him being able to kind of like just process, go through progressions and all of that stuff. They don't have a great running game. It's disappointing because he's got talent, but the Ravens just outclassed him today with Snoop Huntley. Like, how does that happen?
I know. I mean, Huntley hasn't had a good game in a while. Looks like he's an improvement on Cooper Rush, but yeah, I don't. The Bears to me just seem like an incredibly soft team when I watch them play. That's very narrative based, but the defense is garbage. They didn't get any turnovers today, which has been what they've been reliant on. And I think it'll be interesting to break down that Bears-Bengals game next week. I'll be curious to see what that opener is at because the Bengals offense seems like it's pretty in tune right now. I mean, the Jets defense is not terrible. I know they're missing Sauce Gardner today, but the Bengals are taking advantage. Joe Flacco is taking advantage of these one-on-ones on the outside, and he's not scared to throw those one-on-ones. I'm really surprised that they ended up blowing that game today because they were pretty methodically moving it on the Jets before they just kind of fell apart at the end of the game. Trey Hendrickson leaving early on as well certainly didn't help them.
I mean, for both teams, they had like an early rush success rate of like 67 and 70%. And the Jets were just able to run the ball, and it was just gashing and big plays. It kind of sucks that in the spot that we're at now with the league, that Flacco is still a viable quarterback just because he can go with a single read and is willing to throw one-on-one to, Chase and Higgins. Like, they're so good. But, I mean, Browning was so fucking bad. The quarterback play, I know we say it feels like every year. It just feels like it's slipping more and more and more to the point where there's not a lot of viable options.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I mean, I'm struggling watching a lot of this stuff on a weekly basis. Although, you know what? Even the worst quarterbacks are capable of having a good game here and there. Justin Fields, got to give the guy credit today. I saw his post game. He was pretty emotional. He's talking about how he was crying a lot this week in his closet and just a lot going on. It's kind of, on a feel good level, like a human level, good to see that happen. And then from a money perspective, also good to see that happen because I was just not buying the Bengals in that price range. I will say one of the worst reads I've made all year would have been Carolina today. Bills absolutely steamrolled them 40-9. Honestly, if you're looking at the box score, it's pretty accurate. I mean, Josh Allen didn't even have to do much. He had 26 dropbacks, 0.39 EPA per play. James Cook is just ripping off chunk runs all afternoon. And then listen, I gotta wear like an idiot magnet or something over here because I said it and I believed it, that Andy Dalton is not much of a downgrade from Bryce Young. But the thing that kills me about Dalton is he's supposed to be like this calming veteran presence, and he makes the fucking dumbest mistakes, Clive. And I mean, he just like that game just got out of hand quick, and I think I just got to move on from it. But I'm still not sold on Buffalo, I'll tell you that.
No, neither am I, and I'm looking forward to talking through KC and Bills this week. That's going to be a fun game to talk about and to watch. But you're right about Dalton. I thought that he would be at least a game manager that wouldn't turn the ball over like so absolutely like mind-blowingly badly. And just a couple of plays, it's like, have you played the position before?
Right.
And because they put the Panthers hat in the graphic, which I thought was pretty good. Had to wear it even though the Fighting Eagles lost today.
Yeah. Zach says to me, you still grade Dalton and Bryce the same. It'll be different after this week, but there's literally, like, if you look at them over the past couple of years, there's pretty much nothing separating them in terms of metrics. It's very, very close, success rate wise, EPA wise. I will say the Panthers defense held up early, but then they just eventually, like Buffalo settled for a couple field goals early in that game. Panthers looked very live, got out of hand, whatever, wrong read, and we move on. Atlanta, Miami, another case of maybe thinking the backup was not that much of a downgrade. I don't know what got into my head with the Kirk Cousins stuff. I mean, I've seen enough of Cousins last year to know that he's pretty washed at this point. I guess part of it was maybe discounting, not discounting, but yeah, but I get that's probably the right word, discounting the absence of Drake London for that offense, because there's a pretty drastic drop off when Drake London's not on the field. But also maybe writing Miami off a little bit. Miami was fairly healthy going into today's game, the healthiest they've been in a while. I mean, it's a reminder that any team can really put in a performance like that. But Miami, they were honestly pretty impressive today, Clive.
Yeah, they did a lot of instead of going to like truly a run game, a lot of early down short passing, trying to get the ball into their guys with speed's hands, which obviously makes a lot of sense. I mean, this was only a 2-score game, I think, if I have it right, going into the third, where Bijan fumbled in Miami territory. And then after that, the wheels just absolutely 100% came off.
Yep. Bijan with a negative EPA today. I would have been floored if you had told me that going into the day. Jalen Waddle was basically unguardable. Devon Achane mixed in some chunk runs. I mean, look at the EPA per early down pass for Miami today, 0.63, like getting ahead of the sticks. That's why I'm always careful with the dead team narratives. You know what I'm saying? Like everyone's like, Miami, McDaniel, like they just want him out the door. But like, you got professional athletes playing games and they want to win, right? And I don't know, man. I missed a bet there. I really missed a bet on the Dolphins. I will say the Tua illness stuff, I had no idea it was an eye injury or like pink eye, basically, until like 10 minutes before the game started. I thought he was like flu. So I was out to lunch there. That would have kept me off it regardless, and just wire to wire winner.
I mean, I don't know if there's ever been a higher EPA per play with a lower average target.
Yeah.
4 yards, I think that's the target.
Yeah. Carl Felice in the chat. What happened to Atlanta defense? Well, they're just not healthy right now is the biggest problem. And Atlanta's got New England next week. We'll talk about that. But Jalen Walker has missed the last couple weeks. One of the rookies on the D-line. Zach Harrison was a late scratch today. That came out of nowhere. Divine Diablo broke his forearm. He's on IR. Jesse Bates got hurt today. Billy Bowman's been out at corner. So a team that was really healthy to start the year, they struggled big time today. And they could not, without Diablo at linebacker, their run efficiency on defense has gone way down. That's been a struggle for them. Early window as well, Cleveland, New England. I didn't catch a whole lot of this game other than like a few highlights here and there. Didn't have much going on from a betting perspective. This was the game that everyone wanted to see if Drake May is for real. And
he's for real.
He's for real. Yeah. I actually think, hear me out here. I believe that Drake May is actually the most underrated quarterback in the league. Because there are people who still don't believe in him because of the schedule. Do people not watch these games? Look at this guy throw the ball. He is accurate. He has an arm. He makes good decisions. He took so many sacks from Myles Garrett today.
Yeah.
And he still pushed the ball downfield regularly. I mean, I don't know what else I don't know what else that offense has to show at this point.
I think it's people stuck on, and this is not to say Daniels is a bad quarterback at all. He came out so hot last year. I think people are just kind of still maybe stuck in that a little bit, that Daniels is still the best quarterback out of that draft and, had some playoff success. I watched a little bit of the game, and May got off to a little bit of a slow start. To your point, got sacked a bunch, but stood in there, made some big throws still, and he is I'm not willing to say, like, if I need a quarterback to win a single game, he's the guy that I would take. I mean, it's too early to say that, and haven't seen him in those super big pressure spots, but damn, like, future quarterback, I don't know who else you'd want.
Yep. In this game, I think we learned a lot about Cleveland as well. And what we learned is that Dillon Gabriel right now, he ain't it. I mean, this is a very beatable pass defense in New England. And Cleveland finishes with 4.1 yards per play on offense, 30% success rate as a team. They, in my opinion, if they can't run the ball, they are just going to struggle this year. So it's like a really important factor to watch is what the other team looks like stopping the run, because Dillon Gabriel, to me, seems like he might not be in the league in a few years.
No, and that's not all that surprising, I don't think, to a lot of people. I think it was more surprising where he got taken in the draft. And I mean, they had like a 55% series conversion rate. They are not built to come from behind in any way, shape, or form. That just can't happen there. They're a good team to take alts against, probably.
Yep. I would agree with that. I guess on the road, especially against good offenses. San Fran, Houston.
This is a game I did not see a lot of.
Okay, so San Fran, Houston was, I think, probably the most dominant box score of the day when you look at it. 475 net yards for the Houston offense. They held the ball for over 41 minutes in the game. Like, they were just on the field the entirety of the game, and San Fran couldn't stop them. I wonder what we do with this now, because I'm still not ready to upgrade Houston's offense all that much. I think they just had the perfect scenario here of San Fran D-line being like the 49ers could not get any pressure in this game.
And when you don't pressure Stroud, he can pick you apart. And, you don't need Nico Collins to necessarily do that when he is, I'll call it, unbothered. I don't want to overreact to this game. I'll be interested to see what everything opens up with for Houston next week. So we can kind of talk through that too.
Yeah, I think Panic Bombs brings up a good message in Texans was clutch on third downs is what he says. And they were very solid on third down today, 9 of 16. That's very un-Texan-like. Like 0.74 EPA per play on late downs is just unbelievable efficiency.
Yeah.
That I would say, I feel like Houston maybe that was, I don't want to say a false win because they dominated the game, but I just proceed with caution type of team moving forwards there. The last game in the early window that we didn't talk about was Giants and Eagles. This one kind of pissed me off. I think if you look at the box score, it looks very dominant for the Eagles, and it kind of was. I mean, the Eagles had 7.5 yards per play. Giants finished with less than 5 yards per play. Eagles 59% success rate, Giants 39. Cam Scatterboot leaves with a pretty gruesome injury, which was like so weird on Red Zone, the way that they handled that. They knew that he was badly hurt, but nobody had seen it. So they're like, we're just going to re-rack that, and we're going to show it to you live here. We haven't seen it. You might want to close your eyes. You might not want to watch. That was really, really weird. Hate to see that for any type of player. But in this game, Clive, there was 2 plays that really, really pissed me off. One was a tush push with Jalen Hurts under center, where the ball was ripped out of his hands by Kayvon Thibodeau, and the referees ruled that forward progress had been stopped, which is a joke because Hurts is continuing to reach the ball forwards, and they could not review that because it's forward progress. Brian Daboll's just losing his shit. That would have been a turnover in the red zone for the Eagles. There was also a deep pass to Darius Slayton, which went for a touchdown but got called back for OPI. That one's a little bit more borderline. In real time, I'm like, okay, maybe he pushed. But ultimately, two big plays that swung that. I don't think the Giants are that bad. I mean, offensively, I could see them rebounding. I feel like this one was just a little bit misleading as well.
Well, they couldn't get off the field. Defense. Eagles had about an 89% series conversion rate. Didn't matter. Like, they had success rate no matter what the situation was on offense. And that was with Saquon getting hurt
and no AJ Brown in the game.
Right. And Bixby, who I drafted in our fantasy league as a Jaguar, thinking he'd get some play there. He actually, ripped off a couple of big plays too. So that team just manages offensively to do okay no matter what. I don't think they always optimize what they have, like what they were doing earlier in the season in Philly, but they figure out a way to kind of move the sticks and have a little bit of success.
The Eagles going into this week had the highest 3-and-out rate in the league, but they also had the highest red zone efficiency. And there was really, if you look at their drives, there was almost nothing in between. It's like they either punt very quickly or they methodically move down the field and scored a touchdown because they have a cheat code in the tush push as well. Yeah, interesting. I think the last 2 weeks that offense has come to life. I would not have expected that without AJ Brown. Yeah, but that was some high-end performance from them offensively today. The late window was where it all turned for me personally. Tennessee Indy over was the huge sweat. I thought it wasn't going to get there in the fourth quarter. We needed some vintage garbage time Cam Ward in the fourth quarter to get us there. I mean, it was a sweat and a half. The Titans are terrible. Like I mean, not that you couldn't have predicted this because I think everyone in the world did, but Indy 8.1 yards per play today, which is absurd. I will say on a down-to-down basis, their success rate was only 43%, which surprised me. I wonder how much of that was because they were just up so much over the course of the game. But I mean, the Colts, they just continue to be a juggernaut and friggin' score on everyone at this point.
It feels like they're playing Madden on easy. That is the way that they're
on amateur. I will correct you on amateur.
Oh, thank you. And just humming. I mean, Jonathan Taylor had 12 carries for 150-ish yards.
Yeah.
I mean, and then Daniel Jones not turning the ball over. It is kind of fun to watch. They kind of have a new team that I'm rooting for a little bit.
It's the amount of explosives they spread it out. It's Pittman, it's Pierce, it's Warren, it's Taylor. They have so many ways to beat you right now, and they've just done it over and over. And at this point, we're done. We're through 8 weeks now. The Colts are for real. We just have to all admit that the Colts are a very real football team. I think they're exploitable on the back end, but this offense is as legit as it gets.
Yeah, and I mean, not that we necessarily have to talk through this today, but I was thinking about this earlier. Who's the defense that's going to match up really well with them? That's going to give them trouble. That's going to kind of break this. And I don't have a good answer for that in the AFC.
If I look through it, it would have to be a team that defends play action well, that doesn't really bite on play action, because they use a lot of motion, a lot of play action. It's a very efficient offense, no matter what the opponent is or who the opponent is. So that one, got to pat myself on the back. Dallas, Denver, another one. Didn't get lured in by any Dallas 3.5s or anything. Had a lot on the over there. I mean, at this point, I don't know what there is to say about Dallas in terms of they're just an insane over team. Efficient on offense, can't stop anything on defense. I mean, just looking at the game today, and Denver 7.5 yards per play, 56% success rate. 86% series conversion rate. That was only behind the Eagles today. When Denver's offense is moving at will, and that was after Bo Nix on the first drive threw the worst interception behind his receiver. And I'm thinking, oh no, here's another Bo game. Like, they're not going to score. So much for that. No, I mean, at this point, Dallas, they can't stop a nosebleed, Clive.
Yeah, and everybody eats against Dallas. Everybody eats.
Yeah. Yep. So many explosives. Troy Franklin, Evan Ingram. Dak was fine.
So that's what I was going to say. Like, listen, I've been high on Denver all year, especially defensively, and thinking all you need is Bo Nix to play average football and not be a mutant. I didn't see that Denver was doing a ton to screw with Dak. You know what I mean? Like, they got some pressure, but
Denver is very good at getting pressure without having to blitz. They're one of the better teams in the league of being able to rush with 4 and get after the quarterback. And I completely agree with you. Listen, it was one of 3 games that was on at the time. And full disclosure, I had so much on the Tennessee over today that I was glued into that game a lot in the late slate. But this is just the Broncos, I guess. It's pretty consistent. They did it without Patrick Surtain for half the game as well. He hurt his leg, he hurt his shin early on, left, came back, then he hurt his shoulder, and he left after that. And still, they're moving the ball consistently. So, very concerned about Dallas's defense going forwards. I'll be interested to break down that game next week. And then the final one from today in the late window, Tampa, New Orleans. This one, I didn't catch a lot of. New Orleans, they turned to Tyler Shuck late in the game. I mean, I'm just looking at the offensive numbers in this game. Tampa Bay only had 3.8 yards per play, and they 33% success rate, and they won in a blowout.
Saints offense is garbage.
Yeah. Historically bad today, I would say.
Yeah, and I didn't think Mayfield looked incredibly sharp. I'm going to look up what his average depth of target was today and what his completion rates were. Just from an eye test perspective, I don't remember thinking he looked particularly negative EPA per play.
Yeah.
Average depth of target under 7, under expected completion percentage. So yeah, it's what I would have expected to see.
This is Tampa's defense owning the day, basically. Like the Bucs defense owned the game.
Yeah, if you go on RBDSM, like there's just a lot of purple.
Yep.
Like on a box score.
I mean, the Bucs defense almost pulled it out against Detroit when the offense did absolutely nothing on Monday Night Football. So it's a couple good defensive performances in the row there. I think Tampa's slowly shifting towards being quote unquote an under team until they start to get some reinforcements in the passing game.
Bucky Irving's important to them too.
I think so as well. I really do. Green Bay, Pittsburgh, Sunday Night Football. Tale of two halves. Pittsburgh, I got to tell you, the special teams EPA difference in this game must have been pretty wide because Boswell's like a cheat code for Pittsburgh, hitting these 50-yarders, and Green Bay's missing a couple field goals in the first half. But holy shit, did that game turn in the second half. Like, Jordan Love threw 20 completions in a row at one point. And like, this is the Packers team that I expect personally. This is the one that matches what the stats look like on paper. That's what I haven't been seeing for the past few weeks. That second half was a very dominant half.
Yeah, it was. And as a Bear fan, I'm not particularly pleased when Green Bay does that, but hats off to them for being good. And I wonder what Jordan Love we're going to see throughout the course of the year. If we're going to get consistent Jordan Love, if he has his pieces as wide receivers, like they're good.
Like Malik Heath had a good game today. The return of Christian Watson was nice. And like, they're going to get Jaden Reed back in a few weeks. They have like a fairly deep receiving core. I worry about Love.
Is a little bit of a beast.
Kraft is amazing. He is so good. Kraft is such a good tight end. He is just bullying some guys in the Steelers secondary in the open field today. But that felt like, that really swung my emotions going into this show because that was a dominant one. And when I'm against the market steam like that, those are the ones I want to win. always.
Oh yeah,
so
they feel the best.
They do feel the best. All right, we're going to get into next week in just a second here. A reminder here at Forward Progress, we are powered by Fanduel, and Fanduel is changing the way you live bet football, and it starts with next drive SGPs. Now you can bet what's happening on the next drive. Will it end in a touchdown, a punt, a field goal? Then you can stack in player props as well, like rushing yards to catch a pass, someone to get a touchdown. Build your bet exactly how you want it. FanDuel's enhanced quick betting experience makes it easy to find live bets fast, build SGPs in real time, and see the player stats that you need. And every NFL game day comes with a profit boost you can use on your next drive SGP so you can get more out of every play. So if you're betting Monday Night Football, grab that profit boost, use it on a next drive SGP. Whether you're betting a drive, a player, the next big moment, FanDuel makes live betting feel smarter, faster, and way more fun. Visit fanduel.com/forwardprogress to download the app today and bet the next drive your way. Please play responsibly. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC, 19 plus and physically located in Ontario, 18 plus in Kentucky or Wyoming. Opt-ins required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts. 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. This is a paid endorsement. Call Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 or visit connectsontario.ca. All right, we're going to get into the upcoming week here. Before we do, we'll just recap quickly our results from last week as we do going forwards every single time for full transparency. It was myself and G-Stack. For me, I like Carolina. Got some very small CLV. In all honesty, didn't need to lock that in early, especially with the Bryce Young injury. That was a bad play. I'll just call it a bad play all around. That loses. Dallas, Denver over. That's a winner for the year. Looking pretty good. Clive, you got nothing. G-Stack gave out Green Bay -3, which was a win, even though he got negative CLV. And then together, we hit pretty well. Green Bay, Pittsburgh over. Won rather easily. Giants, Philly, we kind of got cucked on that one with the A.J. Brown stuff came out of nowhere. Still think that was a really good bet at the time. Tennessee, Indy over. That closed way above 47. So as it stands, pretty decent season so far.
That's a pretty damn good week, boys.
Yeah. Listen, we do what we can. There's limited amount of opportunities here on Sunday night. We're just processing the information in real time, and we'll do what we can to get everyone watching and listening our opinions for this week's games. All right, let's get into it, Clive. Let's start Thursday Night Football. It is the Ravens at the Dolphins. It is expected that Lamar Jackson will play in this game. Not confirmed, but everything's pointing to a return here on the road for Lamar. Current number at FanDuel is -7.5 for the Ravens on the road at -102. Total in the game, 49.5. This one's an interesting one. Miami did suffer a bunch of injuries today, and that's worth noting here, especially in the secondary. Storm Duck, who had just come back, got carted off with a knee injury. They lost two safeties as well. Minkah Fitzpatrick had a hand injury. Ashton Davis, a quad injury. So they're hurting pretty badly in the secondary. My only inclination here would be to bet the over in this game, Clive. This is just my first thought, but I don't want to. The Ravens have been fucking around with the injury reports for a while now. I feel like there's just no rush at this point, and we can kind of just wait to see this play out a little bit more.
Yeah. So, and I don't remember if it was which show that this was mentioned. I think it came from you. How much too do you put in stock of how effective is his quarterback in his first game back, and how effective is that going to be on a Thursday night? And there's a couple of little pieces. So this is definitely somewhere where I would want to get a little bit more information and just kind of let this play out. There's nothing that I would do quite yet.
Yeah, so historically, first game back from injury is rough. It depends on the injury. Concussions tend to be the worst downgrade to quarterbacks that are back. The issue with this for Lamar is it's a hamstring injury, and he's pretty reliant on his legs.
And that's the other thing. How are they going to game plan with that? Are they going to game plan around that to try and, hey, obviously you use your instincts as a quarterback and you're going to, pull it down and run a little bit, but the game plan might be a little bit different than you would normally expect, especially against a Miami team where maybe you don't need to pull out the quote unquote good plays.
Yeah. HCJ in the chat says 7.5 feels like a lot for not 100% Lamar. So I'll say this. We had Lamar play the first 4 weeks of the season. I store historical market ratings for every team that I kind of derive based off of the point spreads. If these teams played in Miami in week 1, Baltimore would have been a 6-point favorite. In week 2 would have been 9.5 points. Week 3 and 4 would have been 10.5 points for Baltimore, the way that they were priced in market. Now, since then, Baltimore's had some injuries on defense on the D-line. They traded Odafe Owe. Miami's also had the Tyreek injury as well. But I kind of feel like this is not going to close 7. I mean, maybe.
I don't think so.
Stuff. I'll be monitoring the news really closely this week. We'll see what the walkthroughs look like for Baltimore. But really impressive from the Dolphins today. I just don't want to let that blind me from the fact that they have been largely garbage for a while. They lose more players in the secondary.
I still don't love the Dolphins. I mean, gun to my head this week, would I have taken the Dolphins against? Yes, I would have. I mean, still a 4-yard average depth of target is nothing that's particularly great to work with.
Yep. Agreed. I don't think there's anything to do with this, like anything to do here as it stands right now. All right, let's move on to our Sunday games. We'll start with the Bears at the Bengals. Current market line is best price in market right now is for Cincinnati is at Fanduel. Cincy plus 2.5 minus 115. The majority of the market is painted 1.5 right now. Total in this game, 51.5, juice towards the under. Of note today, Chicago lost a wide receiver, Luther Burden, due to a concussion. They lost a couple depth defensive linemen as well. Most importantly, they entered today missing Tyreek Stevenson, who did not practice at all last week with a shoulder injury. Kyler Gordon is on IR, and Jalen Johnson is on IR for the season. So significant defensive injuries for the Bears. Trey Hendrickson left. He's battling a hip injury. He came back after a DMP for the Bengals and left the game again. I got to tell you, Clive, I feel like the total is low, even at 51.5.
Yeah, I was hoping we'd get a slightly lower total and just be able to hammer it, but I still think this is, even as it is, it's low. I think the average Cincy total has been near mid 50s, and this team is better with Flacco than it was with Browning, and that's including those numbers in there. I think this is an over now. Weather is a thing. Panic Bombs just put something in the chat. I do believe weather is supposed to be an issue. I know it's early, but I think that's the case.
I tried to check for these outdoor games before we went on air. A week out is so hard to tell.
It is.
That's the only problem with betting this stuff early. I'll say this. When I think of the Bears, obviously major cornerback issues. We look at the Bengals back-to-back weeks. They carved up Pittsburgh, who was playing a lot of man coverage. They carved up the Jets today, who were missing Sauce Gardner. They're going to move the ball. And honestly, I think as currently constructed, this Bengals defense is probably just personnel-wise, with no Trey Hendrickson on the field, I think they're the second worst defense in football, only better than the Cowboys. We're just so reliant on Caleb to finish drives. That's what's killing me here.
Yeah, and it was Pittsburgh where I saw the bad weather coming in for Sunday, by the way. It wasn't Cincy. Cincy's just looking like mid-50s. And again, like you said, it's early. If you see patches of weather, I think that helps. Like if you see like a big front coming in, but for now, it looks like Fanduel already moved off of the number that we just had.
Yep. Normally when we talk about it, that's what happens, but such is life. A lot of people trying to bet it at once. I will say this did get adjusted up a lot from the look ahead. I saw the early market on this game was 48.5. So there's been a pretty significant move here. With that said, I think the 48.5 was insanely low from last week. And there's a lot of path to success here. And, I have the same concerns about the Bears. Official Mr. Blue, Bears are just so bad in the red zone. But the Jets, who don't have a passing attack, like literally cannot move the ball through the air against any other opponent, come out today and they just dice the Cincinnati defense. And you're gonna have Ben Johnson calling plays against that defense.
And I think the Bears can actually run the ball against Cincy.
Good point.
I think that's going to be the big thing. 2.5 felt like a little bit of a bridge too far on the road, but not crazy. I think that's the farthest it gets out.
Yeah, I was so fixated on the total that I didn't even think about the side. And I think it's fine. Chicago small favorite. Like, I don't want to play Cincy in this range. They gave up 502 net yards to the Jets today. 7.2 yards. The Jets had a 60% success rate on offense today. Like, this team looks non-functional for weeks offensively against Carolina, against Denver, even against Dallas. Even against Dallas, they barely moved the ball at home. Yet on Cincy, without Garrett Wilson, without Josh Reynolds, their number 2, they put up a 60% success rate. This has to be an over.
Honestly. Yeah, 66% success rate on the ground, too. Like, when they can't throw. And Cincy still didn't stop them.
Yeah. All right. We're in on that over to start here. In terms of the side, I think it's fine.
It's fine.
Yep. All right. San Fran and the Giants is our next stop. As it stands right now in market, San Fran -2.5, -120 at FanDuel. Total in the game, 46.5. Juice to the over at -120. That's kind of the equivalent of a 47, roughly in market right now. FanDuel doesn't do the whole numbers. They always do a half. Okay, so got to monitor the Brock Purdy status. He practiced 3 times limited again this week with the toe injury. I think they're aiming for a return this week, but we don't know yet. I look at the defense for both of these teams. The defensive line for San Francisco, they lost even more players today. Jordan Elliott left. D. Winters left. Bryce Huff didn't practice this week. Probably not playing next week. Yetur Gross-Matos didn't practice this week. There's no one left in the San Fran front 7. And then you look at the Giants. Well, the Giants came in without Paulson Adebo and Javon Holland in the secondary. They lose Cordell Flott. They lose Art Green. They basically down 3 corners and a starting safety. I feel like this is over or nothing, and Giants or nothing as it currently stands in market, Clive.
So I see some 46.5s out there, and a 46 that's juiced heavily.
Yep.
I think if you can get this under 47, I think it's a play.
Yeah.
Meaning not under the numbers 47. If you get 46.5, play over and probably play it now.
I'm looking at how San Fran was priced with Brock Purdy versus Mac Jones. Seems like they're priced about a point worse on average with Jones. I don't think there's going to be like this massive upgrade in market when San Fran, if they announce Purdy is starting. With that said, I do like Purdy better personally. I think Jones has done a great job. I do like Purdy better. I wonder with the toe injury what he's going to look like first game back as well. But to me, both these teams are just suffering so badly on the defensive side of the ball. I worry that this is like a little bit higher than these teams would typically be priced, I guess, with the total. But from a pure matchup number side of things, I think it's got to be above 47.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right. 3 games, 2 totals. I have some interest in the Giants too. I mean, there's a 3 minus 115 out there right now. There's a couple 3 minus 115. I mean, is this just like Scatterbo gets hurt and the team falls apart? He's a running back. Like, I understand there's a lot of, they love the guy in the locker
Jersey
room.
Heart and soul, baby. Like, come
on.
on.
I get it, but I mean, maybe this is like maybe the narrative is they're going to win one for Cam, you know?
Like the Jets did for Nick, which was horrible news.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So far, found a few plays, which is good. Atlanta, New England is our next stop. Wow, there's been a significant adjustment on this game. I think the look ahead here was New England minus 2.5. I'm seeing New England minus 5.5 at Fanduel right now. Total 45.5, juiced slightly to the under. Okay, so now we're getting into adjustment season. Penix missed this week. He was 3 times limited with his knee injury, so we have to monitor that. Drake London was a late scratch, so we really have no idea because he got added to the injury report on Saturday, couldn't go in warm up. They are hurting badly on defense, are the Falcons. Jalen Walker has missed a couple weeks. Zach Harrison was like a late scratch on the defensive line. Jesse Bates got hurt today. I've talked about Divine Diablo being on IR and how much that's hurting them in the linebacking core, whereas like New England is fully healthy. So I want to say that 5.5 is too much. And I think that the market might move back towards the Falcons here. But I personally, Clive, am feeling like I do with every New England game, which is I hope the other side takes money and I can just bet New England at a better price.
Yeah, and I am pretty sour on Atlanta. And I was a little bit before today anyway. It wasn't just today. If they're not going to get pressure on Drake May, I think it's going to be a big problem. I could see myself looking at a team total for New England throughout the course of this week.
Yep.
But for right now, like I feel like I'd have to take, gun in my head, I think I'd have to take the Falcons with 5.5. It just feels like a little bit too much of an over adjustment and wanting New England to win by margin. But damn, like this is just wait and see on Atlanta injuries and see what happens.
Yeah. So there's a few comments about this game, and they're mostly geared towards the over, which subjectively I agree with. The problem and why I think this is a tough matchup for Atlanta is New England can stop the run, but they can't stop the pass. New England's pass defense, I mean, adjusted success rate wise, it's one of the worst in the league, if not the worst on a success rate level, adjusting for schedule that they've played so far this year. But if Atlanta is not going to have starting quarterback and wide receiver 1, are they going to really exploit that? Like right. Atlanta's MO is really, it starts on the ground. So I don't love the matchup. I do believe that this will close lower. I do believe. I think there's enough that could cause some optimism around Atlanta, potentially Drake London practicing this week, Penix being back, you know, where the look ahead was. With that said, I still don't think I don't think the market is high enough on New England. I think just the offense is so good, and we're seeing it on a regular basis. They're covering numbers. Everyone just seems slow to catch up to how good that offense is, Clive.
Yeah, it's so interesting too, because if I'm not mistaken, like a lot of preseason money came in on futures for New England for win totals and things like that. It's just odd to me that the market, like given that happened, that the market isn't catching up week to week the way that I would expect it to kind of correlate with that belief. Because if you had that belief and you're seeing what you see now, I would expect some of these numbers to move a little bit more in New England's favor. I can't take Atlanta at 5.5, although I feel like that's what the numbers would tell me to do, but I can't do it.
Yeah, I think it's directionally correct, but I also think it's super risky to bet it this early.
Of course.
Although, like,
probably by Cousins yesterday. So
yeah, I mean, Cousins was, it was horrendous. But that's also not the game state you want to get in. Like, they're just trailing the whole game. They have to turn into a pass first offense. They're not going to win that way. That's kind of what I feel like is going to be a challenge for them here in this particular game. But I'll be interested to see where that one goes. Next game on the list is Indy at Pittsburgh.
This moves.
Yes, this one is definitely going to have moved since the opener. Fanduel, one of the only spots to have this open. I love doing this show when Fanduel lines are open here. None of the sharp books have opened up yet. Indy -3, -115 is the price. Total 48.5 towards the over. So I already see Ecolt in the chat. Over should be 53. Rob, you know what we do. My hesitation is, Clive mentioned it, there's potentially some weather concerns for Pittsburgh for next week. Yes. If that stays clear, I love the over here, as I do with a lot of Colts games. You have multiple injuries on the defensive side of the ball for both teams. Indy is quite thin at cornerback. Jalen Jones got activated off IR. He's in his 21-day practice window, but he didn't practice at all last week, so I doubt he'll be back. So I'm guessing the Colts will be missing Jalen Jones, Travarius Ward, Mike Hilton at corner, a couple of defensive linemen in Tyquan Lewis and Samson Ebukam, who didn't practice this week. Pittsburgh, that looked like a bad injury for Deshaun Elliott. It looks likely serious as a knee injury. He got carted off tonight. They also lost Isaac Samalo on the offensive line with a pec injury. I don't want to say that they can afford to lose offensive linemen because no one can really afford to lose them. But Aaron Rodgers gets it out so quick, Clive, that it's not a Samalo's a great O-lineman. It's just not a huge factor, in my opinion. My first thought upon seeing this number is I still like the over. This is quite an adjustment on the Colts, though, week to week as well.
Yeah, it is. I do still like the over. I'd probably wait a little bit on weather. I was hoping Indy 2.5, and then I would have jumped on that, but that is gone already.
So I'm very worried that when I run this game this week, I don't know that I'm going to. I mean, this is an expensive price on Indy.
It is.
They're being like, when you think about what we closed at this week, like Green Bay closed an expensive 2.5, like between 2.5 and 3, essentially, at Pittsburgh. We got like a between 3 and 3.5 right now.
Yeah, no, I this is a little bit of a bridge too far.
I don't know that I'm going to have the stones to do it, but
and I think if it's shitty weather, that makes it even harder of a play to make at 3.
Both teams can run the ball. Both teams can run the ball well. Shitty weather and like the number dropping a bunch as a total, I still wouldn't be super worried about playing the over there.
Yeah, I'd have to look a little bit into kind of like what scores look like on that field when it's wet and damp. That's not something I know off the top of my head.
Durso says, hopefully we get that Steelers team like tonight and can bet -2.5 on Indy like the Pack. I think the Steelers will catch money again in this game. That will be my prediction. That doesn't mean I'm going to like them. I may run this game, and I could. This is a hefty price on the Colts.
Yeah, if you want the Colts, you absolutely don't bet them now. You want to hope that Pittsburgh gets money, and then, this may be something you take on Saturday or Sunday of next week if you really love it.
Yeah, like I just don't see how. I mean, I'm just looking at how these teams have been valued in market. Not like forget about the early season stuff because we didn't know Indy was good. But even if we're just looking over the course of the past 3 or 4 weeks, like this is peak market now for the Colts. It really is. And they're coming off of like a huge win over the Titans, right?
Well, someone asked in chat now, if at this number, does this mean that Indy's being priced as, the best team in the market? It's close. It's still Chiefs and then probably the Lions, but I think they're maybe about a half of a point under if I had to guess. Like if they move to that price against Steelers might have got downgraded a hair too.
This is undoubtedly Indy being priced as like a top 5 team.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what? Autopile says, we've been saying Colts are peak market for a month now. It's true because they consistently are like they're just winning and covering.
I'm looking forward to the AFC playoff picture this year. If the Colts and the Patriots are legit throughout the season and stay healthy-ish, this could be a fun AFC playoff run.
Are we reigniting the Brady versus Manning with Daniel Jones versus Drake May?
Oh God, not quite half there, but not
Hey
not
man,
the other half.
Daniel Jones is playing like it. Listen, I want to bet the Colts in this game. Let me just put it that way. I don't think that this is a number where I'd be comfortable betting the Colts out early here. That's just me. And Pittsburgh seems to get a lot of market support. They really do.
Yes.
They really do. I just don't see the rush on this one. Carolina, Green Bay is our next stop. Green Bay minus 12.5 at home on FanDuel here. Total in the game is 43.5. This is the best price in market on Carolina, and it's the best price in market on the over. So if you want to bet either of those early in the week, FanDuel is the spot to do so. Carolina quietly got, not only did they get killed today, that wasn't quiet, they got killed, but they got decimated. One of the worst injury situations, I'd say, of the week. They already have two guards on IR, Robert Hunt, Chandler Zavala. They lost Brady Christensen, who's another guard. Looks like an Achilles injury, probably the season. Their center, Cade Mays, left with an ankle injury. He said after the game he feels okay, so I'm kind of optimistic he can play. The right tackle, Taylor Moton, left with a knee injury. So they lost 3 starting goal linemen today. They lost Derek Brown on the defensive line. They lost Traven Wallace in the linebacking core. And Green Bay came away pretty much scot-free against the Steelers, with the possibility that Dontavian Wicks and Lucas Van Ness return next week. So tough to back Carolina.
Yeah, Panic Bombs did one thing. I'm going to say probably the converse of that. Green Bay team total over probably this week. If it's about 27.5, I'm thinking that's what I will be looking at. I don't want to count on the Fighting Eagles to contribute to the over in this situation. But a team total underlook for Panthers there's merit to that too.
Now, like, this is probably a Dalton game again. I would like Bryce Young was 3 times DNP. Now, the reporting is weird on the Bryce Young stuff because some are saying high ankle and some are just saying ankle. He didn't practice. So that's going to leave his status up in the air here. And ultimately, I probably don't love it so much anyways if he's coming back with an ankle injury against the Packers and this pass rush.
No, definitely not. I was looking to see if I could find what the team total was priced at, but this isn't even on the board.
The best path to success here is going to be the Panthers just trying to pound the rock in the game and hoping that the Packers' run defense is soft. But Devontae Wyatt came back tonight. I don't know. I'm having trouble with this game. Carolina is near and dear to my heart, but typically you kind of want to buy these types of teams after a blowout loss. The line's been adjusted from 10.5 to 12.5. You know the deal. Carolina looked bad. Green Bay looked great, but the injury situation of Carolina just makes it seem really dire for them right now. I mean, if they're going to miss that many offensive linemen, they're not going to score in this game. They're going to really struggle to score.
Agree with all that. I think Green Bay, for people that have it, will be a very popular pick along with another game we haven't gotten to yet.
Mm-hmm. I'm a little bit disappointed this opened up below 44 as a total. This is one of the few games I would have had interest in the under for next week.
Yeah, there aren't anything. There's not a lot on the board that I see that is screaming under to me right now.
Yep, I would agree. I mean, the days of the shutdown defense, I think, are kind of over, at least this year they are. Keep it moving along in the early window. Detroit's coming off of a bye, and they're hosting Minnesota. The Vikings also on extended rest, having played on Thursday. Early market in this game is Detroit minus 9.5 at Fanduel. The total in the game, 47.5. Juice towards the over. Okay, let's start with injuries. Minnesota, we don't know who's going to play quarterback, but they indicated that J.J. McCarthy is close to a return. I think he's more than 50% to be back this week, especially with Carson Wentz dealing with that arm injury. Didn't look great. The problem is Brian O'Neill on the offensive line, their right tackle, didn't play last week. Their left tackle, Christian Darrisaw, left the game. Now, my gut would tell me O'Neill is probably back because he practiced in a limited capacity. I don't know about Darrisaw. I would guess Andrew Van Ginkel will be back for the Vikings on defense. That's just a guess. I think he's greater than 50% because he was 3 times limited. For Detroit, they went into the bye week with the biggest cluster I think I've ever seen in the secondary, which didn't affect them against Tampa Bay. But we'll have to see who's going to be back. We know Brian Branch will be back from suspension, but Kirby Joseph, Terrion Arnold, Avonte Maddox, those statuses are all up in the air for this game. I thought originally, Clive, my first thought was I'd kind of like to bet the Lions, and then I saw the number, and then I was like, that seems like a lot of points.
It does. Minnesota's not an incompetent defense. So I was hoping to get a better number on the Lions here. But right now, this is pretty much just a pass. But I have nothing on the total right now. I don't know if you do.
I don't either. I'm going to find it really hard to price J.J. McCarthy. I'll be honest with you. I don't know what to make of that. They were really safe with him when he started earlier on in the year. There was no vertical shots, everything underneath. That would lean me towards the under in this game. The Lions offense is also not quite as efficient as last year. We've seen them struggle at times. If Van Ginkel's back, I think that's big for Minnesota. So my first lean is towards the under here. I might be able to get there. I also got to say, look ahead on this game was 7, right? What did we learn in 1 week? Well, we got one additional data point on Minnesota on a short week where they lost their starting left tackle in game. And I don't know, man. 9.5 seems like a lot. Seems a little high.
It does. How much of this McCarthy thing do you think is injury versus really kind of a soft benching?
I think it's injury.
Okay.
I think there's
a merit of protection outside of just his physical health, but maybe I'm reading into it too much.
I mean, it's the NFL, and I've watched Wentz play, and you can't tell me after the last few weeks.
That's fair.
That they would not have rolled out McCarthy if he was ready to go. So I think injury personally. This game can't really close 10, can it? I feel like this has to be peak.
Vikings money or nothing. So if you like the Lions, I think you wait and you see if the Vikings take money and you get a better price.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I'm just looking at how these teams have been priced again this year. This is pretty expensive. And again, they don't have the full the full they have extended rest, so do the Vikings as well.
Yeah, there's 8.5 out there, but the rest I see is 9.5. Some of it actually juiced lines.
Yeah. I'll just say this. I can't do anything early. You have quarterback up in the air, left tackle, right tackle up in the air. Great defensive player in Van Ginkel. The secondary for Detroit. Too many moving parts, but my first thoughts when I saw this were Vikings and under are most likely to take money is what I think in this game. Next stop for us is going to be Denver at Houston.
God, I wanted this number to be bigger on total.
Man, we think alike. Current number in market on this one is Denver -1.5, -105, and 39.5 the total. Pretty much the entire board is painted 39.5 in this game right now. Big injury note for Denver today. Patrick Surtain left with the shoulder injury. Also of note, Houston did not have Nico Collins or Christian Kirk this week. Neither of them practiced in any capacity. They were 3 times DNP. I think Collins is more likely to come back off a concussion. He could start practicing and he'd be fine. But my expectation would be that both of them probably miss. I also wanted the under here, but it's in a range where I cannot bet the under at this price.
No, neither can I.
I actually think this number is fine all around. I don't know what you think.
No, it is. If this was Houston's small favorite somehow, I would have had interest in Denver, but the way that it is right now, I wouldn't be surprised if Denver takes a little bit of money here. What happened with Houston's line today? How much did that move back?
Houston took a ton of money, a ton. The thing is, I think that was anti-49ers sentiment.
Right.
And but like both of these teams took a ton of sharp money this week. Sharp money on both of them. So I don't think we learn anything from that. But I could see Houston closing favorites if Patrick Surtain is out.
Yes, that's fair. This is just unfortunately a stay away.
Yeah, I think so too. Like I'm not rushing here. So I like to I always run my metrics in terms of like schedule adjusted. I don't know why anyone just looks at raw metrics. You kind of got to schedule adjust them. So I just had them running for this year right now. Denver's defense has the second best pass success rate adjusted for schedule. Houston's is third in passing. The offenses are 29th and 23rd, respectively, in the passing game. If that's not bad enough, from a rushing standpoint, they're both bottom 4 in the league in adjusted success rate. I really don't see how these teams are going to move the ball.
I think it's going to be a slog. Like, I'm trying to figure out, trying to get to Houston and because I think they tried to run the ball today and failed fucking miserably.
Texans?
Yeah.
I think they just did whatever they wanted.
Rate on early downs, but that might have been game state, a little bit of that too.
And it's too much Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
Which was a problem.
All right. Yeah. I got to wait.
Yeah. See some stuff.
I really wanted to bet that under, thinking it would be probably 40 and a half, but no.
Yeah. See some back and forth in the chat about whether or not the public is moving numbers for NFL games. All I would say to that is if you were a bookmaker and you had access to profiles of everyone that was betting the game, and you know if they're a long-term winner or they're a long-term loser, let's say you got a lot of long-term losers who are betting on one side in the game, why would you move that game off of their opinion? Why would their opinion matter at all? As someone who's been in trading rooms before, I can't say every operation in the world works the exact same way, but there would be no reason for a trader to move off of a quote unquote public bet from someone who's a losing bettor. So that's all I'll say to that. That's all I'll say to that before I get a little bit too heated. Let's move it along here. Chargers and the Titans is our next stop. I can't wait to see what this number is. Chargers -10.5, -05 on the road at Fanduel. 42.5 juice to the over in this game. So this is a big number. And I still don't think I can do it. I mean, the Titans are going to take money at this number, are they not?
So this is moved from a look ahead of, I think, like 8.5. I'll call it soft through 10, but I think so. I think if you want the Chargers, you wait. this total is a little lower than I thought it would be too.
I'm just taking a look at some metrics from this week and checking. So the Chargers lost Mekhi Becton on the O-line. They lost Derwin James. That's a big one. Defensive side of the ball. I mean, how can you, like, Tennessee, still no Calvin Ridley. Jeffrey Simmons did not practice at all this week. Arden Key may be out again. Tennessee is as dead as it gets. They suck, man. They are a bad football team.
Yeah, they're on my do not bet list. Now there's always a number, right? There's always a number where it's like, all right, yes, I have to click Tennessee, but this isn't it.
All right, I'm going
to your point. I do think Tennessee will take money if it stays and hovers around 10.5.
Yeah, so I was thinking about that again for a second here, because this was the first time in a while this week where we saw Tennessee not take money. In fact, the other side got steam. The Colts took all the money. So maybe we are getting to the point now where people have given up on this team. I love this comment. Mike McCoy revenge game. Mike McCoy, this guy.
You were tilted in the chat today.
Well, I was tilted because I needed a field goal to win all my bets. And I can't remember what the exact score was. 38-7? 38-7, I want to say, for the Colts. And it's like a 4th and goal from the 16. And listen, from a football perspective, sure, go for it. But like, the game is over. Kick the field goal.
Kicker a little practice.
You know, like
get Sly out there. Like, come on, like, do us a favor.
Yeah. I'm not doing anything with this game early.
What I wonder if this is going to happen in terms of, like, is Harbaugh going to Harbaugh if he gets out to a lead? So, like, for those who want the over, if Tennessee can't score at all and this gets out to 17-0, like, there's a path that Harbaugh tries to, quote unquote, run out the clock, probably from, any point from the third quarter on.
There's also some, I don't have them in front of me, and I'm not going to lag my computer by running it now, but there's also some pretty drastic drop off to the Chargers defense when Derwin James doesn't play. This has been a thing for a long time now. The problem is, like, every time I talk about this, I then just start to remember that Tennessee is not a real football team on the other side of the ball. Like, they're not able to capitalize on these other things that teams might be able to capitalize on. So
between the Titans and the Saints, I don't know who's more inept. The Saints feel like they have a little bit of life in them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're trying, but the Titans feel dead.
The Saints are getting close to dead too. We'll talk
They're
about
almost
them
there.
short. They're almost there.
Yeah, 100%.
You were saying you felt that this total might be a bit low?
I did say that. Well, actually, I said it opened lower than I thought it would.
Got it.
Not that I want to take the over, to be clear, because of the dynamic that I mentioned of I could see this getting to a point where Tennessee puts nothing on the board at all, and game state leads to an under.
Yeah, as someone who lived that experience today, I am probably going to back away from Titans totals over instead and just play the team total on the other team if I really like it. The problem for those who were asking earlier, this isn't like a flex or anything. I don't mean it that way, but this is just the truth. I bet a lot of money on football games, and it's a lot. The total of the game is a lot more liquid than the team totals of the game. Yes. So, for those who are asking, why don't you just play the team total? It doesn't satisfy the bet size that I'm looking for a lot of the times, but that's where I'm at. All right. Our next game, neither of these teams played this week, so both are off a bye. Jacksonville heads out on the road to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. Jacksonville -3, -115 on the road. Total in the game 43.5, juice towards the over. Again, we didn't see either of these teams this week. Last time we saw Jacksonville, Brian Thomas Jr. was walking off gingerly with a shoulder injury. Tim Patrick left with a groin injury. Devin Lloyd at middle linebacker hurt his calf, and he left as well. For Las Vegas, this likely means the return of Brock Bowers, probably Jacoby Myers if he doesn't get traded this week, which is something to keep an eye on. Potentially Max Crosby, which we don't have a lot of information on right now. And I got to tell you, with the right positive injury news, Clive, I could see myself betting the Raiders. Yeah,
and potentially the under here.
Yeah, I'm in the same. I have the same two leans. I wanted a 44. Is there 44 out there right now? Yeah, there's a few. There's a 44 and a half as well. There's a 44 and a half.
I gotta wait to see if Crosby what like his status is.
100%. Both Crosby and Bowers, and then maybe this number is gone by the time that happens, but they need to play. They need to play.
Yeah, I was looking through some drop numbers this week. I think Trevor Lawrence has been like the most hit with drops of any quarterback because Thomas has been so bad. I just wonder if him being out is as horrible as some might think.
Yeah. It's good.
Maybe that's just me being biased because he's on my fantasy team and he's
he drops everything
every week.
Yeah, he drops everything. I mean, he could get dealt too. That's a possibility as well. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like either of these teams. I really think the Jags are very overrated.
Yes. Well, I think with Liam Cohen going there, I think people had higher expectations. Is he going to unlock like Trevor Lawrence and unlock that offense?
Right.
And it just hasn't happened. It's the same sloppy shit where picks, fumbles, just not protecting the ball, just bad football.
I think with the Jags, it's paramount that they are able to run the ball. And if they're not able to run the ball, the offense is going to struggle. And the Raiders defense, 37% success rate stopping the run this year, adjusted for schedule. I have them as a top 10 run defense. And that's kind of plays into my logic a little bit.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Pete Carroll off the bye week match. I don't know about that.
Oh, I know there are many reasons where I could avoid the Raiders, and I may just do that. But if Crosby is in and Bowers is in, this is a bet, and it'll be
Trevor
a race.
Lawrence has suffered from about like 10 more drops than the next highest guy on the list.
Yeah. But he does make bad decisions, and he's
he doesn't protect the ball the way he should.
Yep.
Saints. Gino's a mess too. Like Gino's been god awful.
Oh, he's terrible. He's terrible.
All right, what's next?
Saints at the Rams is our next game. Rams coming off a bye week. Saints coming off of another ugly loss for them. Rams minus 13.5, minus 115 at FanDuel. Total in the game 44.5, juiced slightly towards the under. It's another big number, and we're getting to the point in the year now we're going to start to see these big numbers to see if there can, get to a number where potentially the underdog draws some interest. Of note here, Puka Nacua missed week 7. It's expected that he's going to return this week. That's not a guarantee. Rob Havenstein as well, the right tackle for the Rams, same deal. New Orleans, I mean, they're outside of Eric McCoy on IR, pretty healthy. Just not very good is what it comes down to.
So even if Nacua does come back, am I nuts to think 44.5 is a little too many points?
So if it was Spencer Rattler starting this game, which I don't know that it will be, I think they're going to make the switch to Tyler Shuck at this point. If it was Rattler, I would click this under very quickly because the Saints have zero explosiveness with him at quarterback. He is a check down merchant. If you look at his charts every single week, average depth of target low, checks down a lot, misses open receivers downfield. There was one where Rashid Shaheed beat coverage today. He got missed. I think that Shuck is going to be better than Rattler.
I think he has more upside.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I just don't love. I don't love what I saw from him in the preseason. The pick today was not his fault either. I do think the under's worth a look. I think it's. I feel like it's safer with Rattler. To your point, though,
It's going to be scary. The Rams are going to move the ball on this Saints defense. They're going to move it. The Saints, I wouldn't put much stock into them shutting down Baker today. The Rams do have the skill position players to make this really, really challenging, in my opinion. This
so
is another.
I'm gonna hold. I mean, chat. You know where my head's at. You know what I'm thinking. So
yeah,
listen and wait.
Yep, agreed. KC Buffalo in the late window next week.
Really
early number
to this game.
So am I. Obviously, KC plays Monday Night Football, so potential downside in the form of injuries or potential upside in the fact that they might just smoke Washington and look really good in the process, affecting this number. But as it stands right now, KC -1.5 away from home. Total is 51.5, juice towards the over. I'm going to quickly go and check what the past Buffalo KC totals have looked like.
I feel like they've been between 49.5 and 51.5. But you probably have more. That's just off the top of my head.
Yeah. Just quickly going through the database here to take a look. 49 the last time they played, which was in the playoffs, the 32-29 game. Last time they were in the 50s was 2022, where the total was 54.5. That game stayed under. The reason I asked is both of these teams have a very easy way to exploit the other team, in my opinion. Kansas City's run defense has been troublesome this year. Buffalo is going to test that to the maximum. And Buffalo's pass defense, they might be able to get some pressure, but aside from that, they are definitely lacking on the defensive side of the ball. Ed Oliver left, defensive tackle today, looked bad, biceps injury, potentially could be long-term. If Daquan Jones is out again, that D-line in the interior is in rough shape. Safety group is in trouble right now. I mean, Terrell Bernard barely played today. Matt Milano still dealing with injury. It feels like this game is an over game, as high as the number is.
Here's the weather piece. Yeah, Thursday through Saturday rains in the forecast around 50. Sunday looks clear. Monday through Thursday the following. So 7 of the 8 days surrounding Sunday look like you're going to have wet weather.
Right.
Not freezing cold, but I mean, wet and in the 40s isn't particularly ideal late at night.
Good point.
But just something to consider.
No,
it's
valid. Yeah, it's valid with these early outdoor games because listen, you want to bet early and get CLV, but you're not going to get CLV if it ends up being bad weather. So you have to balance that. Panic Bomb says, how good was Bills D today, or was that all Panthers incompetence? It was good, but I'm not really upgrading the Buffalo D lot for today's game. I think they're very, very exploitable, and they have some real personnel issues.
I kind of look back. It's because James Cook, every time it looked like he had the ball, he was running for 20 plus. I don't know if that was my imagination or not.
No. It was definitely not. Their running game was elite today.
Yeah, it was. Okay.
Perfect scenario for me would be the Commanders keep it close tomorrow night, and Kansas City doesn't suffer any major injuries, because I have some interest in betting them here against the Bills.
I do too. If we can get slightly better price, I would be happy with that. The total, I have to hold off and wait.
Yep. Seattle, Washington is our Sunday night football game next week. So we got back-to-back Commanders in prime time. Early number is Seattle -3, -108. Total in the game, 45.5. we won't know if Jaden Daniels is going to play in this game. No practices this week for Jaden Daniels. We don't know if Devin Witherspoon is back, but I have to assume Devin Witherspoon is back. He missed a few games with a knee injury. He practiced in full the week before the bye.
I want to look at Seattle's scoring. I don't think I've adjusted enough yet on Seattle to the positive. So 17, 31, 44 against the Saints, 23 against the Cardinals, 38 against the Bucks, 20 versus Jags, and 27 versus the Texans.
Seattle is a lot better than Washington.
Yes.
They're probably more efficient on offense and definitely on defense. I don't know what I was hoping for here. I think the Commanders' D-line right now is down 4 defensive linemen from what they went into the year with. Seattle wants to work these play action concepts downfield. I feel like they're going to be able to do that in this game. Washington's secondary is bad. I mean, this is going to be the quote unquote square side, in my opinion. I don't think anyone's going to want to bet Washington here unless they pull a rabbit out of their asses tomorrow night, Monday Night Football. But I'm going to talk myself into betting Seattle, almost certainly.
So I think so too. I see a lot of under in the chat, and where my head is going is I think Seattle can put up high 20s, potentially low 30s against this Washington defense, and it's not going to take much from the Commanders to get to that number. So I would think about Seattle team total over. Again.
Right.
But
I can see why. My Seattle's tough. I could see why people would want the under because their defensive front is so good. They get pressure. They don't have to blitz. Very sound, defensive-minded head coach. But they also are very good.
One of the few that I like that's defensive-minded.
Same with me. They are one of the few defensive teams that gets explosive plays in the passing game. Right? That Washington defense is so concerning. So concerning. In the chat, Connor says, I thought Rob said FanDuel doesn't do whole numbers. They don't for totals. They'll always have it to a half point for totals. For sides, they do. For sides, they do.
It's Seattle or nothing for me in terms of the side.
Yeah, I feel like we've gone on a run here now since the first few games where we had some opinions where we haven't had anything yet. So I'm kind of feeling the pressure of locking in something else, but I don't see the need to. I don't see the need to. I guess there is upside in that Washington plays tomorrow night, and there's more potential of injury. And also, by the way, that's a weird scheduling spot. Monday Night Football for Washington, and Seattle off a bye. Honestly, it might be worth it to bet Seattle now.
Are you forcing this one?
No.
Okay.
I gotta be selective. I gotta stick to my roots.
Well, say what just said in the chat, right? If Seattle was -2.5, that would get bought instantly. I agree.
Yeah. All right. Monday Night Football. Cardinals off the bye, traveling to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. As it stands, Dallas -3, -104 at home. 52.5 is the total, juiced towards the over. Do we know if this is a Kyler Murray game, if he's going to play? We don't know anything, I think, in regards to quarterback situation. We do know Dallas is a mess on the defensive side of the ball. They lost another safety today. I think their top 4 safeties are all injured. Plus Trayvon Diggs is on IR. Every time I see a Cowboys game, I immediately look at the total. I immediately say to myself, I don't know that that's high enough. I know that Arizona's offense has lacked a lot under Kyler this year if he were to play.
Someone said in the chat, I think it moved. No, there it is. Official Mr. Blue. Cards, and I'd prefer Brissett. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the biggest total of the week? Like,
it is the biggest total. This in Chicago, Cincy.
Listen, I'm not saying that it's too high. Without digging a little deeper and knowing who's playing quarterback, I just don't feel like I can do anything yet.
I mean, this has to be a Kyler game. I'm going to be pretty surprised if it's not a Kyler game. He was practicing. The final game that they played before the bye, it was kind of up in the air as to whether Kyler was going to be back. So they're not going to ride Brissett. Now they know they have Brissett as an option, but it's going to be a Kyler game.
I think that's how it's priced. And they just ticked up a little bit on the total.
I don't like a lot this week. I might be I don't want to say I'm forced. I would be clicking no matter what. I think Arizona and the over are both interesting looks in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if this total ended up hitting 54 at some point. If you think of Dallas, Denver this week, it just kept, like, from where it opened at 48 and a half, it just kept taking over money. Oh, what is the resistance point? I know Arizona doesn't have, Arizona's offense, frankly, has struggled. You often see teams come out of the bye week with some new wrinkles in the offense, trying some new things. This Dallas defense can't stop anything. It can't stop anything.
Yeah, I witnessed it today. Minus Bo Nix doing something stupid in the first. I think it was the first possession. Just being bad, like, made that offense look good.
Yeah.
He called the total should be 58.
But it's kind of.
I think 54 is a reasonable number that it could get to. I really do.
Like, the thing with the Cowboys defense is the ineptitude is insane. Like, there's just guys running wide open everywhere all the time. You're like, how is this? There's some communication issues on the back end.
Well, it's kind of like Tecmo Super Bowl. Like, there's just areas of the field that are just wide open.
Mm-hmm. But you saw Denver really capitalize on that today by getting the run going. And Arizona hasn't been able to do that in a while. What's the running back situation like here? Could Trey Benson be back? That's what I would be interested in knowing. I think there's a chance.
Bo Nix had 0.52 EPA per play and an average depth of target of 11 yards.
Oh, yeah. Like, when guys like Troy Franklin are running all over the place, it's a real problem.
No, did we like a single side this week?
I don't think early I love anything.
I mean, I know there's key players hurt every week, but it just feels like there's too much that we're waiting on.
Yeah, I think with the 6 bye weeks, that's tough because you're kind of projecting what you think is going to happen out of that bye week. But I honestly don't know that I saw anything that was super far off. And the ones that were, I think they can be explained by injuries. Like, Atlanta 5.5 stands out a lot, but that can easily be explained by injuries. Same with Carolina. Like, that number looks big, but when you factor in that 3 O-linemen left today and Derek Brown left, makes a lot more sense. Indy, Pittsburgh, like, do I want to fire on Pittsburgh right away? No. Yeah, so there wasn't really a standout in terms of sides for me at the early going. Might be. I mean, Seattle was the closest thing for me.
I think I am going to wait on the Raiders and hate clicking it, but I think, there's a shot that happens.
Yeah, I think the same with me as well. Well, listen, we do our best to go over the board on a weekly basis and find value. Sometimes there's a lot of plays. Sometimes there's not a lot of plays, and so be it. That's just the way it is in the NFL. But it's moving, and we got the Tuesday Best Bet Show here on Forward Progress, which anyone can watch. G-Stack, George, and Flup every Tuesday. They'll start to try to find you some early value in the week. Of course, if you want to watch Hammer Daily as well over on the Hammer HQ, I would highly suggest that you do that as well. Noon Eastern time, every single day of the week. Tons of NFL talk over the course of those streams. So you can check that out over on the Hammer HQ YouTube. Appreciate everyone who participated in the chat. Of course, if you haven't liked the stream yet, please smash that like button. Drop a 1 in the chat on your way out the door tonight as well if you did enjoy the show. And we'll catch you again here on Forward Progress. For myself, Rob Pizzola, for Clive Bixby, for our producer, Pascal Prince, the Caustic Arrow behind the scenes, keeping things running, and for our sponsors at Fanduel, this has been another edition of the Sunday Reset. Peace out, everyone. Hope you enjoy your evening. Have a good one.